Hello and welcome to The Long Play, where we listen to some of the world's greatest albums. It's a little bit like a book club, but there's not a single book. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Tom. How are we doing?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. Just reeling from last night's Mercury Music Prize announcement. Did you see it?
No, it completely passed me by. I think I saw on Instagram Hugh Stevens and Annie Mac going to... They posted a picture of them saying that they were going to present the award, or at least do the radio show. I think maybe it was at Abbey Road, and no part of me took in any of that information until now.
Right,
I did that classic, that we all do on social media, where you look at something and you go, "Cool," and didn't let any of it actually sink into my brain.
So great news for Yorkshire. English teacher won. Leeds band.
Oh, right.
Our mutual friend James and I went to see them at the Broodnell in Leeds last October.
Lucky them.
And they've just won the Mercury Music Prize. Yeah.
Lucky them. Yeah. Luckier them.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about their music?
They're a kind of, I don't know, pop rock band, I'd say. It's got a really cool lead singer. She is... has a great voice, and I have to say, I'm surprised. I think all the bookmakers, Charlie XCX and Brat was the favourite.
Right.
I don't think anybody really saw English teacher taking it home, but that's great news. And it's nice they name checked the Broodnell in their acceptance speech, and
nice.
It's the first time in about 9 years that it's been awarded to a band outside of London.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, so...
Well, big up Leeds. Big up Yorkshire.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and Corinne Bailey-Rae was also up for the award, and another Yorkshire band who, I can't remember which one it was, but Leeds got a good scene.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm so fond of the Broodnell Social Club. Yeah. It's one of my favourite venues in the UK. Yeah. If you haven't been to the Broodnell Social Club in Leeds, make sure you get down. It is fantastic. They've got some great stuff on there, and the room's just beautiful. It's really lovely.
Yeah, just booked to go and see Fat Dog. Actually, it was at the Broodnell. They've just moved it to a different location in Leeds. I'm not quite sure why, but saw Fat Dog at Deershed Festival. Again, another good Yorkshire music event.
Well, it's all coming out of Leeds.
Fat Dog aren't a Leeds band, but they're...
Well, maybe it's not all coming out.
They are a bit mad.
Yeah.
So if you like your...
Oh, I remember you telling me about the going to see this.
If you
also
like
with James.
Yeah. If you like your rock kind of a bit on the bonkers side, then Fat Dog put on a hell of a show.
And we're coming to you a little bit late this month, which we're sorry for. It's been a little bit crazy with the back to school time, and the end of August is always a little bit mad.
Yeah, absolutely. Summer, exciting things get in the way over summer. And similarly, Tom's got an exciting music project on as well. So that takes up some of your time, doesn't it?
It does. But the sun is shining. We're in Yorkshire, and it's been a good month.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was listening to Born to Run on my holiday in Toronto. Last month. So
very nice. Did you get a picture of you listening to it?
I did. And if you're following the socials, Tom, you would have seen it.
Well, I did actually. I did see it.
I mean, you run the socials, surely.
How was Toronto?
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
We did the city, went to a ball game, all of that jazz.
A ball game? Such a local.
Yeah, that's true. Had some poutine. And then went to a lake house for a few nights.
Is it poutine or poutine?
Good question. But I'm the local here, so we'll say
fair
poutine.
Enough. And is lake better or city better?
Well, I'm a city boy, but the lake, actually. In this instance, it was just stunning, middle of nowhere, lake more or less to yourself, out in on a canoe.
Beautiful.
Yeah, just beautiful.
Well, listener, Paul Smith gives the Canada, 10 Paul Smiths.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic. So to give you a little bit of information, this month we're going to be starting to try things a little bit differently. We're going to change up the format. We've been reflecting what we've been doing over the last 4 months. Are we on month 5 now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're having a little bit of a reflect on how the format's going, and we want to change it up a little bit. So we're going to try and make the episode a bit shorter. Here's me extending it by talking to you about what we're doing. So we're going to make the episode a little bit shorter, and we're going to try. We found that talking about the songs individually was maybe leading us down a path that was not helping our fact that we were trying to listen to an album.
Yeah.
We were listening to an album, then spending, our time talking about the songs, which is what we should be doing. So we're not going to be scoring the songs anymore. We might talk about the songs individually if we feel like we want to, but we're not going to go track by track through. We're going to be trying to talk about the album as a broader picture, trying to keep the episode down to a bit of a tighter schedule so that you can enjoy it with a coffee. I've just had my coffee from the lovely Dog and Hat.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Dog and Hat.
And indeed, you gave me a coffee as well. You didn't just sit there drinking it in front of me. Yeah.
Well, I like to be,
the perfect host.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I'm looking forward to, we're just going to score the album. I think that is a better way of us kind of summarizing our thoughts.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how did you enjoy Born to Run, Paul?
I'm slightly worried about this episode, Tom, if I'm honest, because I think it could be the end of our friendship.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really don't like it.
Really?
I absolutely don't. And I thought when we set up the long play, the kind of concept was listen to these classic albums, and even if they're kind of not something you naturally attach to, after a month of listening, and diving into it, you'll understand it. And that worked with Dylan for me.
Yeah.
Worked with Taylor Swift last month. I don't get it. I don't get Bruce Springsteen, and I'm amazed, but that is the truth of it, and I can only tell you how I'm feeling, yeah.
Well,
yeah,
that's okay. I'm not going to be offended because I'm not here to be offended. I don't take it personally. That's interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah. Fine. Great. Yeah, good for you. Good for you being the first to raise your head above the parapet and say you don't like something. Yes, I really love some of the songs on this album. I don't know if it's, a favorite of mine. I don't know if I like Born to Run is one of my favorite rock songs of all time. I think like it's the lyrics that he uses, just the full throttleness of it. Actually, really, just it's such a great song, and I did grow up listening to it. My dad is a big Bruce Springsteen fan, so that and others of his works I do enjoy greatly. But no, I wasn't a sort of a massive lover of the album as a whole. I actually found the album to be very dramatic.
Yeah.
In the sense that I thought, and actually this might be the reason why you don't like it, is I thought this could actually be the original cast recording of Born to Run the musical.
Yeah, exactly. I genuinely actually feel a bit uncomfortable with it because I try to, save, the kind of dislike of things to things that you really should dislike, but there is one thing that I dislike more than anything, of course, there's pain and suffering in this world, but the thing that I dislike the most is Meatloaf. And it reminded me of Meatloaf.
Yeah, I got a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
That's the sort of, I think it's the piano at the beginning.
Yeah.
At the beginning of Thunder Road, the way that it comes in, it does sound so Meatloaf.
Yeah, I thought Night as well also sounded very Meatloaf. And I don't like it. In fact, I've read a review. It was one of the reviews that was in this month's mid-month missives.
Gosh, get your way around that sentence. This month's mid-month missives.
If you think Born to Run is just overblown rock, then you don't get it. That's me. I don't get it. I just think it's overblown rock, and I can't get beyond that. I'm interested in like your thoughts on, what I'm missing.
Okay.
If you like.
Well, for me, the kind of the big takeaways from the album, I mean, his voice is just out of this world. Like, I don't think anybody can really sort of sing like Bruce does and do it with such, he's always, it always feels like he's bearing his soul every time he's singing, like he just gives it all in these moments. And having seen him live, I know that he does that, and it's not put on.
Yeah.
It always feels like the whole way through this album that he's speaking to the people that he's singing about.
Uh-huh.
And it's, I mean, in one of the links that you sent, they talked about Heartland Rock.
Yeah.
And it being about the working class man and the American dream and chasing those things. And I think one of the things that I really loved about this album is how much I felt that.
Right.
When he's singing about, hiding in the back streets and, wrap your hands across my engines and all that sort of stuff. You can really feel it, I think he does a wonderful job of really painting the picture of where he's talking about these characters in his songs living.
Yeah, it definitely does paint those pictures. I find it quite earnest. There's not a lot of kind of, I don't know, humor in these songs. And also, I mean, another thing perhaps that, I just don't get car culture. I don't really like cars. And so, I mean, it's embedded
Says
in
the man who drives an Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, I know. There's no, I hate cars, actually. And this kind of attaching, almost the American dream and masculinity specifically to, cars.
But it never feels like it's, like masculinity is an interesting one.
Yeah.
It never feels like that is being sort of pressed upon you. Like you never kind of feel like he's going like, I'm a man. This is a song about being men.
Yeah.
It actually feels like more like this is a song about it being bloody hard.
Yeah, yeah.
And, and working a crap job and getting crap money and just, just existing.
Yeah.
And being able to go home to, your love and your family and then, ride out in, to the beaches or whatever or down to the river and, throw rocks of an evening. I don't know. But, do you know what I mean? Like it really feels like it's painting. It doesn't feel like you're getting, this is, I guess toxic masculinity is quite a buzzword of today. And it doesn't feel like that to me.
No, I agree.
And earnest is interesting as well when you said about it being earnest.
Yeah.
I agree. Yes, they're very serious songs, and I think that's what plays into the sort of melodrama of it all, and the sort of very sort of boiled down, the little vignettes that we've got of these people's lives. It never feels like he's singing about himself as such. I always feel like he's singing about. Yeah, I never feel like when he's singing like that line in Born to Run, or like the whole of Born to Run. Even though he does say me and I and uses, the what's the word? The not the singular. What's it called?
The personal.
The personal, yeah, sure. It never quite feels like he's talking about himself. It always feels like he's talking about a character. And I think that's because he's a rock star. And his songs are, but it doesn't mean that he didn't necessarily live that.
No.
But I'm not saying that he's not talking from personal experience. But it does feel like they're characters in a sort of larger plot.
I mean, that kind of word melodrama fits, and it's not something that I connect to.
Right.
It's it's interesting because I don't connect to it in that way. And I'm a hip hop fan, and the what is often talked about in hip hop is something that's much further away from my lived experience.
Sure.
Much further. I guess I'm more kind of attached to the music itself than actually the lyrics. I've always found that.
Sure.
And the music here absolutely is that kind of big, overblown, melodramatic rock that I just don't like.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Fine.
And that's just kind of
fine. Well, that's
but,
fine.
Yeah.
Just the listeners will hate you.
Well, I know I fundamentally know I'm wrong in that
Of course, you're not wrong.
Well, if you judge it kind of objectively, this is one of this. If you list top 500 albums of all time, whether it's the Rolling Stones or anywhere else, this is going to be there or thereabouts. So,
but is it because of what? I just stabbed myself with my pen. Is it because? No, I've dropped my pen. Is it because this album gave? Because we know well that this was basically his last chance from Columbia to write something. Otherwise, they were probably going to drop him.
Yeah.
Is it because this album birthed everything else that he did, and without this, that wouldn't have happened?
Yeah, but I can't think we'd do a different Bruce Springsteen album and I'd be, any more connected to it.
Oh, Born in the USA? Come on.
I'm giving up. I am giving up. But, this was, the head of Columbia Records said that he'd seen the future of rock and roll and it was Bruce Springsteen. And, there's all sorts of objective realities that would suggest that for most people, this is a great album.
Yeah.
And this is different to last month when we were listening to Taylor Swift, which isn't to my taste, but I could appreciate it. I just I can't get in. I can't find a way in. Yeah.
I think for me, the thing which I've always loved about Bruce's music isn't necessarily his music per se, but more about the way that he tells the stories that he's telling.
Yeah.
Like I always feel like there's a point in The River. I play The River sometimes in my cover sets when I go out and play. And there's a bit in it which every single time, and it's me doing it, not him.
Yeah.
There's a bit in it that every single time makes me get goosebumps on my arms.
Uh-huh.
And it's just because I think he's a beautiful writer. I think he's got such.
Is it the lyrics of that bit? That
yes.
get you?
Yeah. It's it happens every single time, and it's not anything to do with me doing it. But there's something about it that really resonates.
Yeah.
I think I think all of his music does feel very real, and it does feel very much, even though it is melodramatic.
Yeah.
It always feels very much like he's singing about real things. He's not singing about, trying to think of what other sort of like popular artists were around at the time, like what they would be singing about.
Yeah.
Because he does feel like a bit of an outlier as far as other artists have been. But yes, I'm with you a bit in the whole sort of album feel. Like I didn't walk away going, that's going on my top 10 ever. But there's two songs on there that I absolutely love. Like I love Thunder Road. It's great. I think it is melodramatic. And it does make me think of Meatloaf when I hear it. But I think what a way to start a record. It's fun. It's
I'll tell you what I wrote about Thunder Road.
Go on then.
When you go into a service station around Father's Day.
Well, hey, look, at least it's car related.
Yeah.
Bruce would be happy about that.
Well, exactly, because there's a Clarkson sponsored compilation CD on special offer for Father's Day of driving rock.
Right.
But, Thunder Road is probably on that album.
It's opening that.
It's the worst music in the world. It's given by kids who hate their dads. And it's probably called Thunder Road, that compilation. It'd be a great name for it.
Yeah. He probably wouldn't be allowed. Maybe Road Thunder.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, Born to Run as well has got a special place in my heart. I do really love that song.
Yeah, I love Born to Run. I do. I said in the intro episode that obviously this is a better version than Frankie, but I think he's proved me wrong. I think I like the Frankie Goes to Hollywood version. I think doesn't have that awful sax.
The sax sound is really punchy. Like it's not. It's almost as breakneck as the songs feel like they're going. Like when it's which track does it first come in? Is it in Thunder Road? No, maybe it's at the end of Night. The end of Night's got the most fantastic.
My only notes on Night were, this is a Meatloaf song and I hate the saxophone.
But yeah, the sax sound does very much feel like a Bruce Springsteen thing.
Yeah.
it really encapsulates what I think that is. When I think of Bruce Springsteen, I think of that sax sound.
Yeah.
But he passed away, the sax player from the East Street Band. Was
yeah.
it a farming vehicle accident?
Oh, I don't know.
Like that.
Yeah.
I think he had a farm, and I think something went wrong with one of the machinery.
Oh.
But yes, that's a big part of it. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, so I think, well, so I do love Born to Run. And actually, one of my, it's a kind of a red flag for albums sometimes is that there's one great track and they name the album by that track. And I don't think this is the case in this instance, but it is the standout track for me. It's the one that I kind of like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the one I like. I don't like any of the others. And he spent 6 months recording that song.
Yeah.
And you can tell, but the imagery doesn't like vibe with me, and the sax I don't kind of like, but as a track, it's a great track.
I disagree with you for the lyrics and the imagery.
Yeah.
I think, but I'm sort of with you for the sax. I like a softer sax.
Uh-huh.
I'm a bit more into the sort of the ballady end of sax playing, I think, than sort of rock and roll sax.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think on the whole, I was middling to fair.
Uh-huh. Well, before we round up, why don't we have a look back at what happened in 1975, Tom, in our usual halftime review?
Yes, take it away. I'm putting up my hands and letting you take over this week.
Well, yeah, interesting, because this was an interesting year in football for me.
Oh, good.
Do you know who won the league in 1975? 74-75 season?
Hang on, did you just say it was a big one for you?
Yes.
Stoke?
No. But I do have a book. There is a whole book written on the year we nearly won the league.
Right.
And Stoke nearly won the league in 1975. And I have the book. Yeah. It's the closest Stoke ever came. And had they not suffered 5 broken legs in the second half of the season, and had
5 broken legs, it was a different game.
My dad was one of them. And had they bought Peter Osgood from Chelsea as opposed to Peter Shilton as a replacement for Gordon Banks in goal, I think they would have won it. Or common kind of thoughts are that they would have won it.
Yeah.
They signed Alan Hudson from Chelsea the year before, and what a player he was. He was an unbelievable talent, and he transformed the team. And they would have, there's every chance they would have won the league, but they didn't. It was very tight at the top, but Derby County won it.
Derby County?
Yeah.
Got any ties to Derby County?
No. So, that's who won the league in 1975. So a good book if you're really interested in
Stoke.
What happened at Stoke in the mid-70s, which might not be true. So, talking of things, though, that happened in 75, also talking of things that I really hate, just above Meatloaf, but still right down there, Margaret Thatcher became leader of the Conservative Party in 1975. Bill Gates founded Microsoft.
Right. Microsoft comes up quite a lot in our mid-match review.
Yeah. And Muhammad Ali beat Joe Frazier in the Thriller in Manila.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Was that when he said the famous quote after the match, was it?
Oh, I mean, after every fight, he's got a famous quote, I think. But I don't know whether it's that or Rumble in the Jungle with George Foreman, which I think was probably the year
names.
later.
The names could all be on a Bruce Springsteen record.
They could. The
Thriller in Manila.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was the end of the Vietnam War.
Right.
In 75. So you won't remember any of these, Tom.
No.
Yeah, it's just in your history lessons from school.
If I was paying attention. Which I wasn't.
Yeah, there we go.
Fantastic. Oh, well, thank you very much, Paul, for leading us down memory, not memory lane.
Yeah, exactly. So, in terms of the album overall, Tom, what was your kind of takeaways? I'd be really interested in your positive takes
So
on the album.
for me, I really love the nostalgia that I felt when I listened to Born to Run. I love the nostalgia that I had from listening to Bruce as a child.
Yeah.
Like I did get all those feels.
Yeah.
And I would call myself a Bruce Springsteen fan.
Yeah.
I do like his music. Am I really buying into all of the kind of, I felt the melodrama really quite heavily on this album, I think. Which I didn't care for as much. I really do strongly feel like it would probably make a very good musical. Maybe someone's done it before. But it does.
I felt like, which one was it? I can't remember which one it is. Across the River, what's that song? That felt like it was straight out of a musical.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think how it goes
Meeting Across the River.
Yeah.
And it starts with like almost spoken word as if you're on a stage at the start of a song from a musical. Absolutely.
So yeah, I think I do really love the imagery. I do really feel like the honesty that Bruce sings with, it really gets me.
Yeah.
And I felt that across every track. There was never a track where I felt like he was phoning it in or pretending. It always feels like he is absolutely there and earnestly singing. I think you were right with that earnest. The use of the word earnest, I think you've nailed it. But I do think, sorry, not to dive back in again, but I do think there is humor in the sort of small town life. Like I think he does, not pokes fun, but just makes light of the fact of like, oh, we went to the old abandoned beach house and that's what we did. And I think there's maybe not humor, but lightheartedness. It does feel like he really tells a story within each of the songs. Does feel like it's its own tale.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah,
that's what I liked about the album. And for me, I'm going to give it 6.5.
Great. I think
I'm dreading what you're going to give it.
I think that I find it really interesting that it was released similar time to Blood on the Tracks that we reviewed right in the first episode. And I think I came into the whole long play experience.
What was the quote that you said before? Because actually I think that was about he wanted it to sound like.
Yes. So he specifically said that what he wanted was that he wanted this album to sound like it was written by Bob Dylan, sung by Roy Orbison, who Springsteen was a big fan of, and produced by Phil Spector, that kind of wall of sound, which absolutely comes through. I think the wall of sound production, it nails it, but I prefer it in Motown than in rock. It felt too much for me. It felt overblown in the. But yeah, coming into the long play, I think Bob Dylan and Bruce Springsteen were kind of in the same bracket in my head. That, these are two important artists that I don't understand and I'd like to get to understand more and listen to. And Blood on the Tracks, I really enjoyed. And this I didn't. And that's really interesting. There's a real kind of discovery for me to kind of find that opinion, if you like, that I understand might not even be correct. I'm happy to, I'm happy
Correct's
to kind
got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but I think,
the whole point of this is about discovery and, but it's not about.
I'm not going to apologize for it. I don't, I don't like it. Yeah.
There's no version of this where we, there isn't, the idea by the end of the month isn't for you to find something you like in it. It's to, spend time with something for all of its, and
I've listened to it a lot, and I did expect to find something I like in it. And Born to Run is a great track. Well, but I'll be listening to.
My advice to you,
Holly Johnson, belt it out,
is to keep listening. How many Paul Smiths are you giving it?
I'm giving it 4.
4 Paul Smiths.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we perhaps need to go back and rescore all the other albums with.
Maybe we'll do it as like a special segment or something. We'll do
absolutely.
We'll put them up on social media with pictures of your face stuck to them.
Great idea. give the people what they want.
Exactly. And that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for listening to Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run with us. It's been a pleasure.
It absolutely has. Tom, you can make sure people follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, tell the people where they can find us.
At the Long Play Pod.
Yeah.
You can find us on our website, thelongplay.uk, where you can sign up to our mailing list. There'll also be a link in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
So sign up for the mid-month missives, where I send out a list of links to articles, to reviews, to podcasts, to videos, just to help kind of contextualize the album. And it's great to do that in the middle of the month. The kind of first half of the month, I always listen to the album a bit kind of just let the experience wash over me, and then I dive into it in that second half when I'm assembling those mid-month missives. So,
everything you're putting out, Paul, is fantastic. So thank you for that. You're doing great work there.
Yeah.
So yes, if you haven't signed up, make sure you do, because I think it really does add to your experience. But all we have to say is we've had a poll.
We have had a poll. Yes. So look out for the introduction episode because next month, in September, we're listening to. So it'll be this month by the time you hear this. We're listening to Kate Bush, Hounds of Love. So first time in the 80s.
It's been on the poll for a while, actually, hasn't it? Or in and out. I think maybe it dropped out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, really excited to be doing that.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in the intro episode. So all that's left to say is
no skipping,
no shuffling.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Paul.